Officer in need. Those details straight ahead. And it was all about hats and horses today at the Kentucky Derby. We'll tell you all about one Odessa horse who was there for all the action. We have that and more coming up.
Live from Midland, Odessa, and Big Spring, we're Basin Trusted, Basin Proud. This is Local 2 News at 10 in HD.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lauren Tropea, and thank you so much for joining us for special election coverage here on Local 2 News at 10. We are your local election headquarters, and we want to start tonight with a look at the mayor race over in Big Spring. Incumbent Mayor Larry McClellan keeps his seat tonight. Let's take a look at the results. McClellan took in more votes than his opponent Shannon Thomason, gaining 63% of the votes tonight. And that's where we find Local 2's Casey Jones, who has been keeping a close eye on the race. She joins us now live with Mayor Larry McClellan. Casey?
Aren't you on call? Yeah. That's right, Lauren. I'm standing here with the newly re-elected mayor of Big Spring, Mayor Larry McClellan. Now, you just stood outside in that hot sun all day campaigning. You were speaking to the voters. What did you hear from them?
I heard the voters, most of the voters I talked to were very excited in the direction that Big Spring was going, and I think that's the message that I wanted to give to them, what we have accomplished in the last 3 years. And the voters, I think, were very receptive to that, and they want to see a continuation of that.
So, like I just said, you were newly re-elected, so you've run before. So tell me about how this election, this campaign was different than the last campaign that you ran 3 years ago.
This one was totally different. The other candidate was more on social media, and I ran more of a traditional, go out to the voters, try to walk the streets and talk to the voters, and, put up political signs and things like that. And that's the way it was 3 years ago in every election I've been in. It was mainly, both people doing the same type of, or using the same type of strategy. But this one was totally different.
So even when it came to this election, there was a little mudslinging going on. How did you handle that?
Well, I ignored that. I went to the voters and I gave them my message, and that's what I wanted to do, is let them know what we have accomplished in my 3 years here at as mayor. And I didn't think there's any reason to answer any of these allegations about this is going on, or so I just went strictly with what we have done here in Big Spring, and I think the record stands for itself.
Of course, and it worked. So what did the voters want you to do over the next 3 years? What are they looking forward to?
To be honest, I'd have to tell you that the voters want us to continue with the infrastructure. We need to replace water lines, and we have streets that need repair, and sewer, and if there's one area that we have finally got ahead of is our landfill, and we will open a 100-year landfill in 2018. But I think that's what the voters want, and that's what they deserve here.
Yeah, and your opponent, Shannon Thomason, actually did touch on some of those issues, infrastructure and water, and we spoke to him a little earlier, so let's hear what he had to say.
The mayor and council can continue to refuse to answer questions, can, continue to, obfuscate and play their games, and that's fine. But the citizens are going to be watching very closely.
Now, we also, one last question. Over the next 3 years, what do you think what's the first item on your agenda?
My goodness, that's a tough question. I think that the first thing is going to, go back and look at what we can do to take care of one of our largest employers that's going to be leaving us in October, and to try to get that building marketed and to where we can fill that space. We're losing an employer here that has 100 employees, and I think the position we're in that airport with the rail service we have there, the size of the building, that we can get that building occupied, and that will be a priority along with the infrastructure.
All right, and we look forward to that. Mayor McClellan also up for grabs in Big Spring. There was a District 5 seat, and that went to Raul Benavidez. For now, live in Big Spring, Casey Jones, Local 2 News.
All right, thanks for that tonight, Casey. Now let's take a look at those numbers for the District 5 Council seat over in Big Spring. It looks like current City Council member Raul Benavides keeps his seat in District 5, pulling 58% of the votes, while Becky Winters came in with 42%. And voters in Pecos, Rincon, and McCamey also all hit the polls to vote for a new mayor. Here's a look at some of your new leaders tonight. Starting over in Pecos, incumbent Mayor Vanetta Seals pulls ahead of Jose Saldana by 35 votes, elected as mayor for a fourth term. I spoke with her earlier, and she says she's very excited to continue with infrastructure and housing projects in the city. And it looks like Patty Jones pulls ahead of Pedro Rosales over in McCamey by 94 votes. And moving to Coahoma tonight, where a beer and wine proposition on the table tonight determines whether stores will be able to sell alcohol within city limits. And let's take a look here at what the voters decided. It looks like Coahoma residents are for the legal sale of beer and wine for off-premise consumption only. And Local 2's Lupi Sabata out in Coahoma for us tonight with the latest. Lupi, it's clear the voters have spoken.
That's right, Lauren. Buying alcohol will soon be possible very soon at stores just like this in Coahoma. Now, the numbers show 139 in favor of making Coahoma wet, compared to only 45 who are against. Now, I spoke with residents earlier today on either side of the fence, and they tell me that this issue brought a lot of people out to the polls compared to the past.
If you have an opinion and you want something, you have to get out and vote about it, because otherwise you have no reason to gripe about it afterwards.
The hot topic issue of whether or not Coahoma should stay dry is bringing residents to the polls.
I think that it's something that people are very, they have very strong opinions about. Whichever direction you are voting for, people have very strong opinions about it, so I think that's gotten them to come out and vote about it.
I spoke with locals for and against alcohol being easily accessible in their town.
For everybody I've spoken with, they've said they're for it too. So hopefully it passes.
Bryce Bourne, a Coahoma native, says the alcohol sales would do good things for his community.
I think if it passes, it'll help it get a little bigger, because we've got a potential grocery store coming in, and that'll keep more money here instead of us having to drive all the way to Big Spring.
But not all agree. Cade Kelso moved from Midland 2 years ago and likes the absence of alcohol.
A small town beats large town completely.
He says he likes the peace of mind a dry community gives him as a father.
Being in an area that's so close quarters and my kids are everywhere in the street playing, they drive fast enough through these roads that nothing else, I wouldn't want anything else to interfere with them being able to avoid my kids.
And resident of Coahoma for the last 6 years, Candy Alleman, agrees dry is better.
I like that we can go into the stores here. I mean, I know there aren't that many, but my kids are not subject to those things. I don't want them to see those things. We don't drink in our home, and I don't want them to be subject to those things.
Being dry or wet doesn't make too much of a difference, because Big Spring is only 10 minutes away, while others tell me that 10 minutes makes all the difference. For now, reporting live in Coahoma, Lupi Zapata, Local 2 News.
Thanks so much for that live report tonight, Lupi. And we want to know what you think about the decision in Coahoma. You can find us on our Facebook page. That's Local 2 News-KMID. And let us know what you think about the decision. And we want to go ahead and take you over to another mayor race that happened across the basin tonight. It's over in Alpine. We're trying to get those results up for you. It looks like, let me see here, Jerry Johnson pulling ahead with 228 votes, beating out Andres Ramos with 215 votes. That is over in Alpine tonight. And for more election results and full coverage, head over to our website. You can find everything you want and need to know there. That's yourbasin.com. And speaking of elections, Donald Trump at a rally in Washington State today. Let's hear what he had to say about Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton.
It's supposed to happen today. After we won, I figured, well, maybe I'll stay home and take it a little bit easy. You know, who would have thought this? Trump wins before Clinton. You know why? She can't put the deal away. We can. We know how to close the deal. She can't put it away.
Trump not only dishing criticism, but also taking them. The likely Republican nominee hit with attacks from fellow GOP members and Democrats alike. Mary Bruce is with the Trump campaign in Washington State.
Donald Trump, the only presidential candidate on the campaign trail today.
Are you on our side? Huh? Out.
Trying to refocus away from the growing split within his own party and back on Hillary Clinton.
Who would have thought this? Trump wins before Clinton. You know why? She can't put the deal away.
But it's not clear yet if it's working. Top-tier Republicans are choosing sides, and some of the biggest names in the party are refusing to back the billionaire businessman and likely GOP nominee. That list now includes former rivals Lindsey Graham and Jeb Bush, along with his brother and father, and House Speaker Paul Ryan.
I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to get longer. I think it's a development because of how Donald Trump conducted this campaign.
Trump is now supposed to be unifying the fractured party after a tough primary battle. But even before he heads to Capitol Hill next week, he already had words for the speaker.
Then all of a sudden, he wants to be cute. But, you know, we'll see.
As the GOP wars from within, Democrats are firing their own attacks, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, who first tweeted accusing Trump of being racist, then called his new nickname for her lame.
She's a goofus. She is a goofus.
Hillary Clinton is off the trail, attending her nephew's college graduation at Loyola Marymount University. However, she did hit Trump on Friday.
And their presumptive nominee, otherwise called their presumptuous nominee.
But first, she must beat her rival Bernie Sanders, and he's vowing to go all the way to the Democratic convention in July.
Turning to the Tall City tonight, where a local auto body shop steps up for an officer in need. Pepe's Auto Body Shop holding a car wash fundraiser for Midland officer Xavier Ramon. You'll remember Ramon hit by a drunk driver just a few weeks ago. Now he has a 6-week recovery process after suffering from a broken jaw. The shop says it's the least they can do for someone who risks their life.
Thank to God and the community that pulled together for our officer that helps and protects us.
Organizers tell us they raised more than $2,000 today. And staying in the Tall City tonight for the Touch a Truck event, where people explored vehicles from pump trucks to motorcycles, military to construction. Organizers even bringing in a helicopter.
We just really like giving back to the community, and it's a chance to have community involvement.
The fundraiser benefited Breaking Bread Soup Kitchen. The summer slide, it's a real thing you hope your children don't catch during break. In tonight's Your Basin Cares, an inside look at what the Midland County Library is doing so learning doesn't stop when summer starts.
All smiles and waves at the Midland Centennial Library.
It helps them get a little bit more of an education.
Maybe like $10. Students from Crane ISD making the trip to the Tall City for a field trip.
There's exhibits, there's manipulatives, there's hands-on activities for them.
Director of the Midland County Libraries, John Trischetti, says from now until the end of the year, students from all different grade levels and districts will walk through these doors.
Does anybody know what nonfiction means?
To spend a day outside of the classroom and with rows and rows of books.
If they can read some during the summer, they're much more likely to retain the information that they had from the year previous going into the next school year.
Trischetti says the field trips not only provide a new way to learn, but also recruit more young library card holders.
During the summer, we'll see over 1,000 people a day come through the building.
A field trip parent, Karina Garcia, fully supports.
You know, open a book every now and then, something different, and something not electronic, which is awesome.
Stephanie Sobek, Local 2 News.
Last year, the field trip brought in almost 1,500 students, and this year's they're pacing to bring in even more. Still to come here at 10, find out how high schools across the basin could make Friday night lights just a little safer.
And of course, on election night, we also have a lot going on in weather. Looking at our headlines, chances of thunderstorms continue with more strong winds, but we're going to see cooler temperatures for Mother's Day. This is weather next.
A good neighbor is more than an acquaintance. A good neighbor is more than a friend.
A good neighbor is welcoming and makes you feel like family.
Helpful, kind, caring, supportive. In an emergency, you can count on your neighbors.
Day or night, at Neighbors Emergency Center.
Your doctors.
Your neighbors.
So you couldn't find it. I'm talking about that over-the-top look you've always wanted for your bedroom. Well, it just arrived at Bob Mills. The richly upholstered queen bed, mirrored inserts, that's all 6 pieces, just beautiful quality. And with our exclusive Companions pricing, just $21.97. But what about the mattress? Our Wellness Series Queen Pillow Top set of $400 value free. How in the world can we do that? Ask your salesperson at Bob Mills.
It's the hottest comedy event of the year, the Comedy Get Down World Tour, with Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, Eddie Griffin, George Lopez, and Charlie Murphy. One hilarious night of comedy with the funniest comedians in the country. Get ready to laugh like you've never laughed before. With Cedric the Entertainer, Eddie Griffin, D.L. Hughley, George Lopez, and Charlie Murphy. Friday, May 13th, 8 p.m. in the Ector County Coliseum. Get tickets now at boxofficesolutions.net. The Comedy Get Down World Tour. It's the best comedy show, period. A West Texas town made national headlines for a reported chlamydia epidemic 1 year ago.
I think it all had to do with sex education.
Watch Sex Ed in Greene County, a special assignment, Monday at 10 p.m.
After 30 years at Local 2 and forecasting your weather, one thing's for sure. We've been through a lot together. Droughts, severe storms, backyard barbecues. Heck, I even had hair at one point. Sexy. But no matter what else changes, Local 2 and I are always dedicated to local weather coverage that impacts you.
Local 2, your local weather authority. Now, your Local 2 Weather Authority forecast.
Welcome back. Ryan Martin joining us now. So if you were out voting for Election Day, it was very hot outside, very windy. I even saw Mayor McClellan out in Big Spring. Looks like he got a lot of color out there today, too. So.
Oh, yes. We even saw triple digits in some areas in the basin, Pecos and Presidio. But that's not really going to continue. Dropping down into the high 80s tomorrow. But winds aren't going anywhere, and we do have a chance of severe thunderstorms tonight, but luckily that's going to clear out in time for Mother's Day. Let's pull up the health index right now. Moderate chance of tree pollen still, grass low, mold low, flu A and B viruses both low. This all courtesy of Dr. John D. Bray. Now, almanac for today. You saw earlier in the show we got up to 95 degrees, well above our average, and then short of our record of 103, but also above for our lows. Right now, seeing temperatures in the 70s. Wind speeds, though, that's a different story. They're very strong throughout the basin. Right now, seeing 25-mile-an-hour wind speeds, and we're going to jump right into that across the basin. Very strong, seeing 25 in Odessa Midland. Big Spring actually had a pretty big drop-off. They were in the 20s just a couple of minutes ago, and then seeing 20 over in Wink. Also a big drop in the Guadalupe Mountains. Saw 10-mile-an-hour wind speeds right now. They were in the 20s just a couple of minutes ago, too. Hour by hour, we're just going to see these winds continue. Another windy day tomorrow, seeing winds about 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts could get as high as 40 miles an hour. Then we'll see a brief period of calming Sunday afternoon. Then going into Monday, winds are going to come back. So expect a lot of wind in the next couple of days throughout the entire week. Wind gust right now seeing 21 in the Guadalupe Mountains, 21 in Carlsbad, peak 29 in Wink, 32 here in Odessa Midland, and peak gusts for today. We're near that number right now, 36 in Big Spring, got all the way up to 60 miles an hour in the Guadalupe Mountains, and 38 in Carlsbad. 46 in Marfa, 43 in Alpine, and with these winds, you're getting high wind warnings up until Tuesday for Culberson.